Okay, it's going.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rebecca Brigemeyer.
I'm Kate Stangler.
And I'm Griffin Russian.
Our focus for this podcast will be on the Trail of Tears experience of the Cherokee tribe, starting with the reason they left, the journey, and lastly, the impact. Andrew Jackson, greedy for land, pushed the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Katwa, Creek, and Seminole tribes out of their ancestors' homelands with the Indian Removal Act of 1830. Jackson gave tribes a choice. They were either to conform to white society or lead westward towards Oklahoma. The map here from the source Britannica.com shows the routes along the Trail of Tears. However, the Cherokee and Seminole tribes dug their heels in and fought hard for their homelands. They chose to adapt to the white culture, but in their own community and government. They still weren't welcome in the state of Georgia, even if they conformed to society. Many pushed for them to be gone. Gold was discovered within Cherokee land, and the push to remove them became final. The Cherokee sued the United States for protection of their rights, but Jackson was firm in wanting them to leave. According to William Nestor, author of The Age of Jackson and the Art of American Power, the Cherokee sold their land and would receive $4.5 million to distribute equally for each man, woman, and child, an equal swath of territory in the far west to live on. They then began their journey along the Trail of Tears to their final destination in the state of Oklahoma. As shown in the illustration here, taken from History.com, they traveled through horrible conditions. The Confederate soldier who participated in the forced migration called, "I fought through the Civil War and saw men shot to pieces and slaughtered by the thousands, but the Cherokee removal was the cruelest work I ever knew."
Spanning over 5,000 miles, the Trail of Tears was a terribly long, miserable journey for about 4,000 Native Americans. At the beginning of the journey, for those who enrolled themselves, they were equipped with a rifle, a blanket, a kettle, and 5 pounds of tobacco. The Native Americans that removed themselves right away were put on flatboats, like shown here, and trapped inside very close quarters. Many Native Americans did not survive this trip because of the diseases that were present, measles and cholera being just 2 of them. According to a source, the Cherokee Nation and the Trail of Tears, a man by the name of Black Fox boarded a ship with his wife and 3 children, and he was the only one in that family to survive the voyage. In our primary source, Laura Montanaro says the Cherokee had to walk. All the old people who were too weak to walk could ride in government wagons that hauled food and blankets, which they were allowed to have. The food was mostly cornbread or roasted green corn. For the rest of them, they walked from their homes, most of which were from Georgia, to Oklahoma. In this source, Family Stories from the Trail of Tears, Laura Montanaro tells many stories of families walking in this trek. In one story, a woman by the name of Chin Dinawash came from Georgia, and her husband died shortly after they left the state and left her with 3 children to look after. She walked with 1 child slung on her back, 1 she carried in front, and the last one walking next to her hand in hand. All 3 children died on this journey, and she was the sole survivor of her family.
The Trail of Tears was a very dark place in United States and Native American history. Motivated by gold and land, President Jackson passed the Indian Removal Act. This forced around 100,000 Native Americans to move to lands west of the Mississippi. The journey that they endured was unimaginable. They walked nearly 1,200 miles from Georgia and Florida to what is now the state of Oklahoma. As mentioned in Family Stories from the Trail of Tears by Lori Montiero, 4,000 Native Americans died along this journey. Hearing the stories and hardships that Native Americans had to face is heartbreaking. When the Cherokee signed the Treaty of New Echota, they did not fully understand the agreement and terms that applied. Like seen in Article 1, the Cherokee Nation hereby cede, relinquish, and convey to the United States all lands owned, claimed, or possessed by them east of the Mississippi River. Challenges and hardships from the Trail of Tears and the treaty are still being felt to this day. Cherokees and other tribes are still living on the lands forced on them, not the lands that they are spiritually and culturally connected to. The Trail of Tears has not only affected culture, but it affected how people think. Many people now started to question the authority and power of the government and how they could just move a civilized culture. US citizens now began to accept cultural differences and diverge from their ancestors. The Trail of Tears is a piece of our history that we will not soon forget. It is one of many significant events that changed our way of life and thinking forever.